Pastor, you
Was not a different
okay. Welcome you and Mr. Lewis.
Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for the gifts that you have given us in this world. To live in a community as great and kind as the city of Jasper. We have people moving to Jasper from all over the United States and the world because they have found a home here with good people. I also pray, Lord, that tonight that the council is led by their better angels and we can work toward making Jasper even better because we know it can be. For all these things, in Jesus' name, we thank you. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, and at this time we go into closed session to discuss the JEDCO board situation.
That's not how it goes. Public comment.
What did I say? No, I'm sorry. I misspoke. I can't hear you. You might have to go over there, please. Okay. I'll just move up.
And
Yes,
we,
we're going.
we don't have public comments. I don't know if we have departmental reports or.
Right, the audience cannot participate in this workshop. No action will be taken on this.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
what Ms. Gerald is speaking to is that the workshop is actually following the first 5 items on the agenda, which only, I think, only public transit is the only one with a presentation or action.
If I can ask for clarification, the workshop is just to discuss JEDCO, correct? Not have a general meeting?
Just discussion regarding JEDCO.
my understanding, that's why we was doing it at 5 o'clock and then going into.
Well, we were starting at 5 because we have so much to cover.
Right, okay.
But if we wanted the workshop first, it should have been listed first on the agenda.
I thought it was listed on the agenda, just the vote was listed.
No, it's listed as following the top 5.
So we do that.
items.
So number 4.
No, right here, right.
Okay,
Okay.
all right. We'll take care of it before we go into the workshop.
Correct.
Okay. And, we have a public speaker that wants to speak. I'm sorry, I can't read the name.
John Wright,
John
Wright,
Wright?
yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Wright. Mr. Wright, if you will, come take the podium, give your name and address. And,
My address?
well, Jasper. Just-
Jasper, yes.
Yeah. And before you leave, according to the bylaws and our stuff, you'll remain until, see, you have about 3 minutes. And after your comment, each individual council person will have clarification if they have any questions.
That's not my interpretation of that, sir. When bylaws did that say that?
We have to allow public comment, and we're not supposed to engage in debate with the people who come up for public comment.
No.
Our rules, we have city council rules and procedures. Mr. Hildebrand, you can speak to this, that we don't debate with people who are speaking during public
We
comment.
do not debate with them, but we can ask for clarity.
Clarification.
If there's any uncertainty, any member can ask for clarification.
We just have to be very careful because this is their First Amendment right to speak during public comment.
Yes, cool. Thank you for your time. I know you guys have a lot on your plate tonight. I'm 57 years old, retired in Jasper. I love this community. I love the fact that it's quiet. But unfortunately, the last 6-7 months, there's been a lot of debate about this whole JEDCO thing and about this opinion. And I'm not here to debate about the opinion, but what's come to my attention, the opinion says the current JEDCO board is legal, correct? Is that what it says? it does not address the fact from 2017 that they were not. Even the executive director of said JEDCO went to on local radio, says he was aware that they were not following the bylaws. So my question is this is the elephant in the room. Now everyone wants to say, like, let's move forward, not look back. Well, my personal opinion is the poor people in this town, they've got taken advantage of, and they deserve better. This JEDCO board, with assistance from the city council from 2017, has been working in lockstep, not for just the EDC, but for protecting the people that are on that board. And why? Because everyone that's on that board owns all the property, owns all the businesses, owns all the strip malls, and they influence every decision that happens in this city. Period. And that's why you don't have people that come up. So I'm standing here asking you, why are we not going back and looking at the fact that said JEDCO board and back city council, which is their job, is to protect citizens and our taxpayer money. 2017, to this recent opinion, they basically have not been legal. So what's that say? What's that say to anybody in here? That says that they have been operating illegally, which means they have had access to our city funds, taxpayer funds, and they've been spending it illegally. Now that doesn't just break EDC code, that doesn't break Jasper City Council code, it doesn't even break state code. That's a federal offense. But no one wants to say anything about it. If y'all were sitting here and we all went to the city council and say, hey, we want millions and millions and millions of taxpayer money, we want it, and we're gonna spend it the way we want to, illegally, guess what happens? We all go to jail. Why is JEDCO board that's been protected for, I don't know, we're going on 30 years, the same people are on the same board, going back and forth, and they still get protection from the city councils. Not just this one, because there's proxies on the city council. There's proxies that were on the past ones, because they weren't protecting the citizens of Jasper, they were protecting the people who are on the board. And that is fact. Now, you guys can say they're legal now. Great, they're legal now. You guys are gonna vote and put people on the board. Oh, okay, they're on the board now. Now we're following the bylaws of the EDC. Well, what have they been doing since 2017? It's amazing that the executive director that admitted that, yes, we understand there's a problem. And what, 3 months later, he resigns. Huh. Because there's a lawyer trying to get involved. And now this opinion comes in, and now guess what? You're all gonna vote him back on the board. Silence, right? I'm not here trying to stop. I'm just trying to say people in Jasper, Texas deserves better from y'all. And people need to be held accountable. You can't turn your head to this. We're talking millions, and we are not Beaumont. We're not Lufkin. We can't just assume millions and millions of jobs are illegally spent and say, oh, don't worry about it. Now we're going to be legal. These people deserve every dollar. Every single dollar. Period. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
Sir,
Wait a
sir,
minute.
sir,
We have clarification,
Clarification,
please.
Yes, sir.
Bob, go ahead.
okay.
Point of order.
On
Point of order, Mayor, I would have to strongly caution against this. I've never seen a public comment where we were clarifying with the person who was commenting. Our rules state that citizens that wish to bring up a matter on the agenda at a regular meeting may do so, but only under the agenda item of public comments. Citizens must remember that the council is prohibited from acting on any item that has not been posted on the agenda. As a general rule, citizens may not participate in the discussion of the council.
I'm perfect to have it if he wants to have a discussion about it.
Mr. Moran, do you agree that this is usual procedure during public comment?
I don't
Can you
have-
please give an opinion?
Sir, can you wait a moment? The mayor's hunting a piece of paper.
I made my statement. Am I free to go now?
Please wait.
Presentation to the floor when a staff member or a guest from the audience is recognized for a presentation.
I'm not
That
presenting.
person, well, yeah, he's not presenting,
I'm making
so
a
that
statement.
does not apply to this.
I think it'd be fine if you just sat down,
I think it's
out of
a,
abundance of caution.
absolutely. That's for a presentation, Mayor, that's not for public comment.
I could bring slides next time if that helps you out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we move to public comments.
That was public.
That was public comment. Departmental records. None? Okay. And SUT RPC, public transit pilot project.
Get Bob here to give a report on it.
Mayor, thank you very much, council. As you're aware, the Southeast Texas Regional Planning Commission, I've been working, I was here at your meeting back on March the 10th, and I was just about to launch a City of Jasper Public Transit Pilot Project. Well, I had some issues come up at the last minute, and I had to postpone that program. So since that time, I've been working on this issue, and I'm just about, I'm working with finalizing the details with the subcontractor that's going to hopefully do this service for us. I'm having a major meeting tomorrow with my potential subcontractor that will do this work, and I'm hoping to come back to your next meeting and lay out the information as when we're going to start this pilot public transportation project. I've been working diligently with them, but we all, as I said before, you have to crawl before you walk. We can't implement a program, it just takes some time, and I got delayed the first time, but I've been working on this, and I'm just so optimistic. I'm hoping to be able to start this program. I wasn't even gonna say it, I'm hoping we're gonna be able to start it maybe July the 1st. But I've got to finalize, get the I's dotted and T's crossed with my subcontractor. Tomorrow I'm having a meeting, and I think they're gonna approve working with me on this. And so this program will be, just to quickly refresh this would be a program that would be open to all citizens of the city of Jasper. City of Jasper, we're gonna just transport people. It's a demand response, curb to curb. We pick up people right at the curb, we take them to where their destination is. It could be anything in the city, the doctor, the library, the city hall, Walmart, any kind of thing like that, any kind of trip. It's open to the general public. Our service will be done Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. The cost will be minimal. It will be $1 each way when we pick you up and take you to your destination, and then we bring you back to your curb in front of your house or apartment. So we've worked on this, and anyway, so I wish I'd already had started with this program. It's a pilot project through the Texas Department of Transportation, Public Transportation Division. We have funding to do this pilot project for 18 months. So, I'm optimistic, but I just, like I said, I have to work out those final details, and I'm hoping to have that after this meeting I'm having tomorrow morning. And then if that's the case, I told the city manager when I talked to him last week or the week before that I'd like to come back to your next meeting and to say that we're launching our program. And so, if anybody has any questions about that, I'll be glad to answer them.
I have one question, real quick. Right here. I was throwing my voice. So, are there any restrictions or limitations on who you pick up and deliver and then return?
No, the issue is people have to call at least 24 hours, or the further ahead of time you can call to schedule your trip,
Sure.
the best chances are you're likely to get transported when you want to. Yes, it's general purpose transportation. Now, my subcontractor will have certain kinds of rules that people, have to, but basically, it'd be like if somebody wanted to go to Walmart, okay? But all the buses are lift equipped that we'll use for this program. So if a person is an individual with disabilities in a wheelchair, we have the ability to transport anybody that needs to be, but it's critical that people have to call in advance to schedule their trip, because it's a pilot project and we're just trying to start for 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Sure.
So, but it's only gonna be within the city of Jasper for the citizens of Jasper. We're not taking people. Now, I'm already getting calls, well, when are you gonna, well, I try to explain to people, we're trying to, y'all haven't had any service up here like this, I don't think, in the past, so I'm sorry it's taking a little bit longer, but we're gonna get it done. But when we start, I'm thinking we're gonna get a pretty good response to this service. I hope we do, and we're gonna promote it. Like I said, I have a brochure worked up. I had some information last time I was here, but I just had to, we had to postpone it, but I'm just about there. And, so I'd like to come back to the next meeting and say, I'm definitely, we're going on this stuff.
Thank you.
If I may. Sort of like an Uber.
No, sir, this Uber that's a private individual.
Right, but-
No, sir, this is a government. My subcontractor already provides rural transit service for me in another part of my region, so this is just, it's not anything, they have a number, we'll have a dedicated number, people call the number, then the dispatcher or the person that answers the phone will say, where do you wanna go? And they'll route and schedule their trip. So it's not anything, it's not demand response where you call them, they
Right.
come get you there. You have to call as far ahead of time in advance as you can, at least 24 hours.
Right.
So we could, the goal is to transport or take as many people during the day that you're providing the service as you can.
You
So-
use the term bus.
Yes, sir, it's a bus, it's not a huge bus, it's a paratransit bus, it'll hold, two, I think most of ours will hold 2 people in a wheelchair, and probably the specific, depending on the size we use, but it's not a full size, like in Beaumont, the fixed route,
Right.
but no, it's a smaller vehicle.
Sounds good.
Will you wait on the person, or will they have to schedule a pickup?
No, sir, when they schedule their trip to be picked up, they will have a number to call, they can call them back, or they're gonna know that they're gonna come back around and pick them up. You never transport anybody without going back to pick them up and take them back to their.
But you don't wait on them?
No, sir, you don't wait on them, because you have other people, the goal is when the driver starts picking up people in the morning, they wanna get as many people on the bus and serve as many people as they can, so if they go drop off 3 or 4 people at different locations, and then somebody else is ready, they can call them, then they'll go back and pick them up. Yes, sir.
For the council members that weren't here before, Mr. Dickinson is here from the Southeast Texas Regional Planning Commission. They are our COG now, and so that's how this program is available to the citizens of Jasper, is because we're a part of that planning commission. And so that he's doing the program through them, that is where Mr. Dickinson is from. And I asked him to come today and give an update to the citizens about this program. I think it's gonna be really great for our citizens.
Sounds great.
Sounds good.
Appreciate
deal.
it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we move into the workshop now. Adjourn and just move into it, or? guess the first thing we need to do is, JEDCO is comprised right now of 17 members. In my opinion, we need to leave a certain number of members on the board to have historical records, to know what's going on, who we're talking to now, and who's interested in coming in the future. And I just propose we leave 7 there and get 10 units. Any comments, thoughts?
I'm good with that. The numbers aren't to be as firm as believing we do need to leave the existing members on the board.
Well, there's 17 there now.
Yeah, but, yeah, I'm not
Well, I mean,
suggesting
that
all,
doesn't change because of their bylaws.
but 6, 7, or 8, well, we can't change. JEDCO has, JEDCO board will have to change.
Yeah.
But we do need that, those relationships are established, especially for the current open projects or ongoing projects, open files, and even dialogue on potential new projects, which could be huge. And it gives, and plus, you don't wanna throw 17 new people in there, it's a train wreck.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
So we've gotta maintain some of that historic knowledge, those relationships, until newer members become more groomed moving forward.
Now, we let
Sure.
I have to strongly disagree with you. While I do agree that 17 members is what we have until the bylaws are changed, I do not agree that the council should just automatically keep the first 7 members. You know, the Texas Government Code 504.051 states that the city council appoints members of an EDC board. And it states, TML states, in theory, a city council could appoint itself in its entirety to a type A EDC board. The Texas Government Code says that the city council determines the exact size of a type A EDC board, but that the board must be composed of a minimum of 5 members. Also, the Texas Government Code 504.051. So the council shouldn't just nominate 10 people. The council has full authority to nominate all 17.
We do, but I think it'd be foolish of us to do that, and I didn't say 7, I said 6, 7, or 8, it doesn't matter. But we do need to maintain some of those current board members.
And if I may, also, the reason that I disagree with that is because, you know, these seats change every 2 years, and the mayor as well. And the president changes every 4 years as well. And they don't leave the previous president's staff there just because they have files open or they have things that are going on. So to me, that's not a reason to leave these same people. Their bylaws state that they serve 2-year staggered terms, and they've been in violation of their bylaws since 2017. So, and also, the state of Texas said they serve 6-year terms. So some of them have served 16 years consecutively, 10 years over the 6-year terms, and all over the 2-year staggered terms. So I don't agree that we need to leave them on there. You know, in nursing, and I understand that's different, but if I could just please give an example, if you would humor me, they have something called continuity of care. And what that means is that every person who comes in contact with that patient, they document so well that the next provider that comes in behind whoever was there before them can pick right up and continue the care, that the ball is never dropped, and that the care you're providing is 100% all of the time. Surely these first 7, or the ones that you guys are recommending to leave on there, I understand they're not nurses, but surely they're doing basic bookkeeping so that another board could come in behind them and pick up where they left off.
Well, I'm not recommending any. I'm just saying we need to leave some existing members at that table for the sake of everybody.
Well, I'm just asking why.
If I
For the
may,
reasons I mentioned. If I may.
I like your nursing analogy, I think it's a good one. But I would not go into a hospital and fire all the nurses every 2 years and expect a new crew to come in Monday and the hospital run well. You have senior nurses, people that's been there a long time, for a reason. continuity, who to call, where to look, where's it at, if you will. And if you blind JEDCO by removing the senior people, and if I may use a legal analogy, large law firms have 3 levels of employees. Level 1, junior lawyers. They're there to learn. Then they have the second tier, and that's the one that's been there 10 or 15 years. And then they have the senior partners, and they're there for a reason, for the continuity of knowledge, who to call, when to call. Relationships matter, whether it's up here, within the city government, or in your hospital.
If I,
Ms. Manning, would you like to make a
Yeah,
comment?
My suggestion was, everybody should have come. I'm just saying, everybody should have come up. And the people, and I agree you do need senior people on there, I agree there. But even have them to come out and then have them to reapply. Now, I had a screen, I forgot it, it's in the car, I forgot it. And that was my suggestion. Even, now the ones that's been on there 3 years and have termed every 6 years, I think they should stay on there and see it out. But my thing was to screen everybody. If you want it, you applied for it, then that's okay, but that's just my opinion.
well, if I could be recognized again. Bob, to your point, I did use a nursing analogy, absolutely. But of course, you wouldn't go in and fire all those people at a hospital, but they're being paid. This is local government, and it's government that is for the people, by the people, and we all have term limits. As I stated, we're only here 2 years. If Mr. McLean, Mayor Clark here, had been the mayor for 16 years with no change and no election, I believe that people would be upset by that. So my analogy was only that it should be done so well, the bookkeeping they're doing at JEDCO, that a new board could come in and take over. Not that you would go in and not fire everyone at a hospital. I do not agree. Serious missteps have been taken by the very people that you recommend in your list, Mr. Mahar, in remaining on this board. They have been out of compliance with their bylaws since 2017. There's no argument with that. They definitely have. And the former council brought Mr. Hopkins, wanted to bring Mr. Hopkins over to speak with the council. And when we tried to do that, Mr. Stover and also Mr. Hopkins refused and said that he was not an employee of the city of Jasper, therefore he cannot be brought over to speak to the city council. We also, the former council, voted unanimously to have a joint meeting with JEDCO and the city of Jasper to be held in the month of October. I'm sure that LaQuinn remembers, he voted as well unanimously with us. And the JEDCO members did not come. They said they were not gonna come and there would be no quorum. And then we also hired 2 attorneys to give us an opinion about JEDCO. So we have tried to get the situation handled on JEDCO.
So let me make a point, please. You're saying that these people have been on the board for so long, but was not it up to the city council? The city council can remove and reappoint or replace anybody at any time, correct?
If you're talking about the previous city council,
I'm for the last, or how many years?
for the last however many years, I haven't seen anything where it's the city council's responsibility. And actually, Mr. Hopkins came before this council multiple times. When we appointed LaQuinn Hildebrand, Jennifer Miranda, and Ronnie Sample, Mr. Hopkins was here, and he did not mention the need for reappointments. And so he came also during budget time and spoke to the council then as well, and he did not mention reappointments. From what I understand, the president is responsible for all actions of the JEDCO board. The city council does appoint and remove, you are correct. But it's not our responsibility to see that their appointments are being redone.
But it's not in our.
Actually, it is.
You have that in writing, Mr. Mahar?
Yes.
Well,
Oh, okay,
And
I would
I'm
like
not-
to see
No, I'm
that.
not looking it up for you. Go ahead and run through your bylaws. Our job as a city council is to approve the board of JEDCO. You stated Mr. Hopkins didn't come, yet you turned right around on 3 occasions and listed that he did come. So I'm a little confused on that one. Again, our issue tonight is not to discuss the merits of JEDCO. Our duty tonight as a council is to fulfill our duty to appoint a board or not. And if we choose not to do our duty, then the existing board will continue uninterrupted. So we can either choose to let it exist as such, or we can choose to do our job and appoint a board. Pick one.
Do either of you have anything to say before I ask? I don't want to step over.
Thank you.
Mr. Mahar, I absolutely did just say that. The city council requested that Mr. Hopkins come, and he refused and stated that he was not an employee of the city of Jasper. But yes, he did come and speak before the council. And if you can prove that on paper, that the city council has the duty and responsibility to keep up with their appointments, please show that to the council today. And actually, we're discussing this in a workshop so that the public is aware of the situation at JEDCO. They have the right to have that information. So yes, we are discussing what has happened and what we're gonna do to appoint people. I have no problem making a motion to appoint if you would like to move to that portion of the meeting, Mr. Mahar.
I do not have an issue with moving to a point. I would like for us to look at the list, because there's been quite a lot of discussion that if it is a good list or not. And while I do think that every name I see on our worksheet tonight is excellent choices, other people on this panel may disagree. And I'd like for them to have their opportunity to disagree.
Okay, got anything?
Yeah, let me throw a little fly in the ointment. Even though it's not specifically written, and the legal opinion is binding, it's valid, and it does say that the current JEDCO operations, including the board, is legal. And I believe part of that goes to different legal standings, legal rulings, legal opinions. There's one, and I'm sure a lot of you in this room have probably heard of it. It's called a holdover. You ever heard of holdover? That's when a board member or a councilman or council lady resigns. Even though they resigned themselves, in theory, they're still in that chair, even if it's in name alone. Because the whole premise of a board is that no person goes unrepresented. So you've got to always maintain that level of authenticity. Now, as to the legitimacy, the approval or non-approval of the JEDCO board, I look at it like this. Every city council since 2017 has approved projects, they've approved budgets, they've listened to presentations, never pushed back, never asked questions. Those actions alone takes me to one word: acquiesce. I believe they acquiesced to the approval of those JEDCO board members. That's where I come from. I yield.
All right, we need a motion. How are we going to go forward?
Well, we don't vote here, we'll vote in an open meeting, but we need to have some kind of understanding of what to expect when we get into open meeting.
That's why I told you to do a vote of what's going forward.
We don't vote during a workshop.
If
This
I may,
is-
Mr. Mayor?
Okay. Bob?
Thank you. I'd like to go back to, there's months been put into, with various input from most of us here, including Mr. Holmes, who unfortunately is gone tonight, to generate the list that is currently in front of us. I think each and every one of us, except for maybe one or two, one exception, has offered names, submitted names, discussed names among ourselves. pass notes, if you will. Talked in front of this building before we become board members. And I think we have a really remarkable group of people who are willing to step up and serve our community for free with a knowledge base that is phenomenal. Do I agree with every name I'm looking at? Not necessarily. But I think as a group, outstanding people. Ma'am, I know you put a couple of names on there. I know I put a couple of names on there. Mr. Hildebrand's put a couple of names on there. The problem with compromise, or the blessing of compromise, is nobody gets everything they want. That's just a fact. We can sit here and nitpick this to pieces, and we can come back every night for the next 6 months, if that's what we got to do. Or we can agree that it isn't perfect, but we need to get this done, because there's other work in this city that's very important, that will help this city, and to spend months, literally months now, on something as simple as a single vote where nobody's happy, but we get a really good group. So, please, if there's anybody up here with me that doesn't like a name on here, please let me know who it is, and I'll scratch it off readily.
I don't have this.
May I?
It's in our stuff.
Mr. Mayhar, if I may address you, this list that you have here that you turned into the city secretary, you said you've worked months and months on this list. I've been on the council since May 2024, and I have also worked months and months and months to make sure this is correct. We find ourselves where we are right now because of this move forward attitude and not doing things correctly. The board continued in violation of their bylaws since 2017. And had that been handled, we would not be sitting here right now. It needs to be done correctly. I disagree myself with putting members back on this board that have created this problem in the first place, okay? So I can only speak for myself, but this list that you have, there's 5 of us here, not just one. You're not the only council member that's here. And so I don't agree. I don't agree with your list, and I don't agree to keep the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 members. Real quick, Denny Walker has been on the board for 16 years. Anne Marie Limbrick, 6 years. Bill Snelson, 16 years. Charles Warren, 9 years. Chris Lanier, 6 years. Willie King, 8 years. Marvin McDonald, 10 years. Larry Brown, 16 years. No, sir, I do not agree with that. And so I'm sorry that you're upset, that you feel like you worked really hard with a list, that I hope you didn't have quorum outside of a public meeting getting together. But I've worked on this for months too, and I want it done correctly, and I believe the people of Jasper deserve to have it done correctly and not just, let's hurry up and get it done. I don't think that's the answer to this.
Okay,
Ma'am,
okay. No, wait a minute. We could go back and forth like this all day. We're not gonna do that.
That's not the point of the workshop.
The workshop is a workshop.
Yes.
The arguing back and forth is not a workshop.
Well, discussing is what I thought we were doing. I'm not arguing.
Well, it sounds like arguing with me.
No, I thought that was the purpose of a workshop, was for us to discuss it.
My purpose of the workshop is to decide how we're gonna do this and move forward. My understanding that we would decide how we're gonna do it, we take a vote back and forth, that this is how we're gonna do it.
Usually a workshop, the council members discuss things back and forth and they don't always agree. And so,
Let's agree to disagree and move forward.
that's fine with me. If you want the workshop to be over, Mayor, that's your prerogative. We can end the workshop right now.
How about we do this in workshop right now, come down the table one at a time, and let each member real quickly just say what they think the remedy is.
I would love to.
sounds good.
District 1,
Okay.
you're on the clock.
Okay. I already made my suggestion. I think everybody should come off and reapply. Be screened. That would be fair to the people of Jasper. Because when you're doing it, somebody's gonna be upset. Either way I do it, somebody's gonna be upset. But that's the solution that I have. And let them all come out. They wanna come back and reapply. Let them come back and reapply. And I have a sheet that they can come in and fill out. That's it.
Bob?
Okay, interesting take.
Okay.
The issue would be, till they are replaced, they're on the board. So, they have been polled, they have been asked, each one of the senior people that are on here have been asked if they care to stay. Therefore, they have reapplied.
How do you suggest we move forward, Bob?
I suggest, and if I may go through this list, I see
Don't call names.
I say 2 names on here that was recommended by you. I see 2 that was recommended by Mr. Holmes. I see 2, actually 3 that was recommended by me. I see several that was recommended by you, sir. Unfortunately, you haven't given me any recommendations so far. There's been some that was brought up before we were elected.
Excuse me, Bob.
Sir.
How do we move forward?
We need to decide if this board as presented is adequate. If there's somebody we do not like on there that we cannot live with as a council, we strike them, but we vote and get this over with. And if that leaves 2 or 3 vacant spots, we'll deal with that next time. But I do not want to be doing this 6 months like the last council.
I'm sorry, I'm just so stunned. I'm just so stunned by your response. And I'm saddened for the people of your district that you don't want to work to get this correct. I believe that what we need to do is remove the people from the board. I agree with Ms. Horn. I'm sorry that upsets you, Mr. Mayhar, but sometimes you can't do things right then. Sometimes it takes a while, and there are lots of things that prevented this from happening with the former council that you just referred to. And I have a real issue with what you just said, because you said that all of you worked together to create this list, and that's outside of a public meeting, and that's illegal. I have an issue with that. That's the reason we're having a workshop and that we have meetings, is where it can be done all out here in the open. And that's not legal. What you just admitted to is not legal. No, I still have the floor, I believe. Okay, so my recommendation is that everyone, the state law says that the city council appoints every member, not 10, not 5, not 7, however many are appointed. So the city council needs to appoint those members. I disagree with what you said, and I'm very concerned that you've met outside the public. Go ahead.
Hold on, Mr. Mayhar. Let me say this. This is how, if it were up to me, if Jesus Christ walked in that door right there and said, Quinn, fix this problem, I'd take just a handful of the current board members and reappoint them and approve them just for the experience or the historical value of the current open files, potential files, so that the younger ones can be groomed and learn the systems, learn the rules and laws. I've not heard one person in months and months, actually in over 30 years. I've been hearing this hate for JEDCO for over 30 years. Not one person has ever submitted a valid reason.
Amen.
Or logical reason. It all, if you know the facts, you visit with these people, it all goes back to something personal that, a boy and a girl broke up in the 5th grade. Somebody still has their stinger out about it, But here, we approve, reappoint a certain number of current JEDCO board members, and then we, the city council, do our job and we fill the vacant seats. But the one thing that hasn't been mentioned is we need 2 ex officio members. And in my opinion, it should be every year without question, no matter who he or she is, 1 ex officio should be the city manager, 1 should be the mayor.
I agree.
I disagree. The bylaws don't allow for non-voting members, do they, Mr. Hildebrand?
The bylaws of what?
The bylaws of JEDCO. The bylaws of JEDCO do not allow for non-voting members, correct?
Well, the ex officio can be a part of the 17. But at the same time, the JEDCO deems necessary to adjust their number of members, that's when they can incorporate the ex officio.
When they rewrite the bylaws.
Yeah.
So we're not able to make a decision on that at all. That, JEDCO has to rewrite the bylaws before you can have non-voting members, correct, Mr. Hildebrand?
Well, if they're non-voting, I don't think it matters,
I think it matters with the bylaws to JEDCO.
because we can appoint.
You want to appoint non-voting members to a board without the bylaws allowing for it.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying at some point in time, if it satisfies you that the bylaws are amended to add a new item for ex officio, let's do it.
Oh, it's not me that I feel needs to be
otherwise-
satisfied.
But otherwise, they can temporarily be a part of the 17.
If it's included in the bylaws, I think that they can do that if it's included in the bylaws. There were lots of things that actually the attorney's opinion recommended that has to be done with the rewrite of the bylaws.
Well, he didn't recommend that anything be done. He suggested we could do certain things.
Okay, he made suggestions and recommendations, yes, sir. You label it however you want to label it, but I feel that we need to stay within the bounds of the bylaws of JEDCO,
Well, let's
because
do
that's why
17
we're
members.
sitting here right now.
Let's do 17.
If JEDCO chose to rewrite the bylaws to change the members,
So
that's
let's
up to
do-
them.
That's right. So let's build a new board, but we need to leave a handful.
Okay.
Well,
So you have to-
I keep going back to the city council. JEDCO works for the city council, is that correct?
It's the way it's supposed to work, yes, sir.
Well, why was not the city council aware of who these people were supposed to be re-upped or reappointed or whatever?
I can't speak for the former city
May
council.
I? Normally, the reappointment of boards and some of the stuff we're doing tonight is calendared. It's put on there to show up systematically within the system. For whatever reason, it did not get on the calendar. Normally, the city staff would have put that on the calendar, but we had it
No,
normally.
that is not true.
Normally.
That is not true.
So, to make us aware, we should have been made aware. JEDCO should have made us aware. Every step along the way, the ball got dropped. And nobody cared for a very long time, which is a shame, but the ball got dropped. We need
90 days before, 90 days
Order.
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 We need to fix this. 15 special meetings so far. And if we can't solve it tonight, I'm gonna ask the mayor to schedule a meeting every day for the rest of our life, if that's what it takes to get this done. This is ridiculous. 15 meetings, 16 meetings, 17 meetings for something as simple as sashing out a board and having a vote. And no, we're not gonna like all of it.
May I be recognized, Mayor? You have not came to 16 or 15 meetings here, and I'm really interested with your information that you have on JEDCO, because you're currently not a JEDCO board member. You are, however, a city council member who represents everyone in your district, and that should be your main focus. If I could please ask the city manager to come to the podium and explain to us about how this has usually went for the past few years. Is it placed on a calendar, as Mr. Maynard suggests? Has the city council ever been responsible for reappointments by JEDCO?
No, ma'am, the JEDCO board has the president or the one doing Eddie's job.
Executive director.
They're the one brought it to city council and passed minutes as we look through the minutes and stuff. So it's not the city councils or the city employees' responsibility.
Can I
Thank you
ask
for that
one more
clarification.
question? Can I ask one more question? We appoint to other boards as well, the Southeast Texas Regional Planning Commission and also to Sam Rayburn to SRMPA. Is there any calendar where you guys are responsible for appointing to their board, or are they responsible for for their reappointments and their bylaws, because we also reappoint to those
Both boards
boards.
are two-year terms unless.
Two.
Two-year term, the terms of the person appointed.
Mhm.
And so unless the council sees something they did wrong and they want to remove them from that, but most time they serve those two, like tonight, Anderson's on, he is on the,
He expired.
he's expired as of when he got out of election. And McQuinn's still a council member for the San Rayburn Municipal Fire Authority. So tonight we'll have to appoint somebody to fill Anderson's spot. Same with yours on the planning commission. Anderson was on it, and you're still a council member, so you still stay on, so everything's still good, and we'll appoint somebody. The mayor's automatically appointed, so on the mayor being appointed.
But as far as any of these boards that we appoint to, are we responsible for their board to make sure that the appointments are being done? Have you ever had a calendar as a city manager that tells you that those board members need to be replaced?
Have not.
Thank you.
You have a calendar that has just certain, items should be reviewed by the council annually or semi-annually.
We do have certain things on there for as stipulations by state law and other rules for the taxes and for the, when the budget's gotta be done and stuff like that.
Thank you.
The good question was, did I ask Greg Kelly, was the city council ever responsible for the appointments of JEDCO? Was it on a calendar? Because Mr. Mahar stated that it was, and that the city council was responsible in the past, the city manager placed it on a calendar, and that these, board members were replaced as he saw on the calendar. Mr. Kelly denies that never took place.
Okay, how do we move forward?
Well, I think we've heard from everybody.
So,
We're going into general session.
We need to adjourn the workshop and go into convening.
We haven't done anything.
Well, we can.
Well, yeah, we can agree how we're gonna go into general session.
That's never gonna happen. Here's how.
That's never gonna happen.
Here's,
That's exactly.
here's how it's gonna happen. We're gonna come back in open session, someone's gonna make a motion, and there'll be a second, we'll debate it, and eventually, before that little exercise is over, we'll have a decision. Because right now, you can, I mean, you know, there's too much separation between the two primary lines of thought. There's too much separation, so we'll never at ease.
Okay.
Pardon?
What's the argument?
No argument. Okay, so actually, Mr. Holmes should have a chance to speak. What we just did before you walked in, each member shared their vision of how we can resolve this issue.
What's the disagreement? You said we'll never come to
Okay, the separation is whether or not we maintain a certain number of current JEDCO board members until we have a rotating cycle of members with some experience. And that's for the historical value in knowing what's still on the table or on the board, as well as those relationships between the city of Jasper, JEDCO, and the potential new businesses.
Can I give a quick recap? Ms. Horn suggests that we do away with the board. And any member that wants to be on the board can apply. Is that kind of the?
I didn't say give away, do away with the board.
She said, wipe the slate clean.
Wipe it clean. And then the real, and then the real, and I do suggest that we keep some people on there that, let them come back and reapply. And just do it like that. That was my suggestion.
Okay, that's a good way to do it. Bob, just give it a quick synopsis.
For those of you who do not have this piece of paper here,
Young man.
we have a group of people on here that are current board members that, in my opinion, add value to that board, great value in some cases. And they have all been polled to see if they want to maintain their position on the board. They've all responded in the affirmative. So, I think that answers the part about the people who have got the institutional memory.
I agree with Councilmember Horn. We need to start over. The state law says that we appoint all members to the economic development. Not 10, not 7, not 8, however many are currently appointed. The city council has the authority. Not JEDCO, but us. And so I think we need to remove all the members, some of them being on there for 16 years, just like we're replaced every 2 years, and the president is replaced every 4 years. These members need to be replaced. All other boards that we appoint to, it's 2 years, and they're being replaced. So I don't believe JEDCO's meant to be a lifetime appointment. So I agree with Councilwoman Horn that we need to start over from the beginning and go ahead and remove these members from the board. And I don't think it really is that complicated. We can make a motion, and there's 5 of us here, and so the majority would carry. So anyone here could make a motion to appoint, and if you have a majority, then that would be the new board. It's really not that complicated.
I've said all I'm not gonna change my position, but Ms. Horn, to her credit or to her defense, is saying the same thing I'm saying.
She's saying.
She's saying the exact same thing I'm saying.
You were saying to leave those first 7 or 8 members on there, or you're saying to take all members off?
Let me clarify. I never said any names. I never said first 5, first 7, first 8. I said,
Well, let me get in here where I can be sure that.
I said we need to leave 5 or 6, 7 or 8 current JEDCO board members. Not in any order, not by name, just those with experience in business, successful experiences, successful accomplishments. They have the business sense and business logic about them, which should be a requirement for anyone who sits on the JEDCO board.
Absolutely. So, question to you and question to you, if you leave longer, how long will it stay? How long will it stay?
2 years.
That's good, right? That's a
Actually, the reappointment.
No, we can do.
The reappointment process for that,
When we do that, we should have it on this.
Their bylaws currently say 2 years.
It is a 2-year term.
the appointment, if I may. The group that we're referring to, we're looking at appointing for a 2-year period. But the board has the capacity at any time to remove any member of the council from that board. They serve at will of the council. But the recommendation on this is that these people have a 2-year cycle. And if they work out well, great. If they don't, we replace them. And the same thing with the second group of new faces. The suggestion was that they have a 1-year cycle to see if they like the job and can do the job. And that does a staggering where you end up with everybody having to be replaced at one time.
Let me, Mr. Moran, how do you read JEDCO's laws?
There's a 2-year term limit, and the people that are appointed will serve that 2-year term limit, at which point they'd be up for reappointment.
So 2 years every time.
That's correct.
But they're not automatically dismissed. They could be re-upped if the council so chooses.
Their term limit is up in 2 years, and they can be reappointed. They're not automatically reappointed.
And should be. I believe that's the question. Since 2017, they haven't been, so.
And they have not been reappointed
Yes.
up until this point.
Correct.
Can I say right now? I just want to clarify, Councilwoman Horn, you recommended to remove everyone from the board, or you recommended to leave a few people on the board? Because I'm confused with Mr. Hildebrand. We're so far apart, and I'm so close to him. He said actually you and him agree that you want to leave some of these senior members on the board that have been on the board for many years? Or do you want to remove all members from the board? If you can clarify for me.
I just think we should remove all.
So you're saying remove every member?
If the ones that's already on here, if they want to reapply, let them reapply.
But you're
agree with
good
you.
with, you're good with reappointing.
Yes, sir.
So-
Yeah, we can
Reappoint.
reappoint. Now, I know we can't take everybody out. We gotta have somebody that know what they're doing.
There you go.
That's what I'm saying. But, you know, we need to spring them, let them know this is how we gonna do it. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, you probably.
Mark, I think everybody will vote.
Three legal members,
Somebody else. Somebody.
current.
You're saying leave some,
If I can say, we appointed three members, Quinn Hildebrand, Jennifer Miranda, and Ronnie Sample back in May of 2024. And they still have a term left of a year, and I absolutely believe that they need to stay on the board. So, I recommend we do leave those three members on the board. They have a year left in their term, but. Ms. Horn?
I agree with that.
Wow, I think we agreed on something. I love it. Mr. Mayor, since we've agreed on, looks like the, group that has reapplied, that had been on the board for a while,
They didn't reapply, they haven't finished their term, they didn't reapply, we appointed them back in May before you were a councilman.
if they are polled and asked if they wanted to stay on the board, is that not reapplying?
No, they're not reapplying, they have a 2-year term that they serve until they're removed. If you would like to make a motion to remove them, you may. But they serve a 2-year term, as Mr. Moran, our city attorney, stated just a few minutes ago. 2-year term, correct, Mr. Moran? And I also have paperwork here from JEDCO that says that they're serving a 2-year term, Mr. Mahar.
I think we're talking about two different groups of people. I'm talking about the senior staff that we're trying to maintain.
Mr. Mayor, may I? Let me set one thing straight. Nobody applies.
Right.
There's no applying. It's a reappointment. It's either an appointment or reappointment. It's that simple.
and no one has polled the JEDCO members, there may be some on there that doesn't even want to return.
True.
So that's what I'm thinking, so how do we know who we're keeping and who we're not keeping? We don't know who should stay.
That's what we're gonna have to go into the general session to start. I have put out a little note that, please ask board members, and I never did hear back. There's gonna be, well, I know one, has already turned in his resignation. So, we don't even know what our board members want to return.
It's not their choice, though, but you do know that it's the city council's duty to appoint and remove members.
But
It's
there
not
may-
JEDCO's to
we may-
decide.
We may be talking about people that doesn't even want it.
For example, if we approve an appointment tonight and then tomorrow we find out they're not interested, then we're gonna have to come, I think we'll have to come back at a later date anyway to feel support.
We put the hard before the wagon.
That's it.
Hard before the wagon. We all gonna say, hey, it's hard, it's gonna get over.
So can I ask this body at the table a real simple question? Do y'all believe or find it of any value or of any benefit for a city council member person to be on the JEDCO board?
No.
Now, I don't either. I learned by August or September of last year, that's a very dangerous place for a city council member to be sitting.
You know, you and I appointed you, actually, Mr. Hildebrand, back in May, and you did not have this same opinion then. Can you please tell me what changed your
I
mind
sure,
on
yeah,
that?
and that's why I just said, last August or September, I realized that's not a good place for a city council member to be, because there's two lines of thought that I have. One is simply this: a human being anyone sitting in any one of these chairs, they have a near impossible time trying to take off city council cap and put on the JEDCO cap. They can't do it. And it causes bleed over, it causes, conflict. And then there's times when there's gonna be a JEDCO matter that needs to be brought before this body. And to be sitting here to vote on something that you're aware of, or could be made aware of, we don't need that.
Absolutely.
Well, this is the way that the board has been done it all this time since we've had this. And we've traditionally had a mayor and 2 council members on this board
I
for
know
some
that.
time.
I know that.
And I'm feeling a lot of hostility from you, from Mr. Hildebrand. I'm merely speaking to you. We did appoint you in May, and also, if the executive director is the one who's bringing it before the board, I don't believe that there's any bleed through at all. When you have an entire board that is unelected, and they're handling millions and millions of dollars of taxpayer money, that's taxation without representation, and that's how we all became Americans. There has to be representation on this board, and that is what the city council's for. And I believe if the appointed JEDCO members were voting on these things being brought to them and not actually bringing business that was recently voted, I'm sure you're familiar with what I'm speaking about, Mr. Hildebrand, that I can see how that would cause a conflict of interest between the council and JEDCO and the new businesses that are being brought to JEDCO.
You lost me. You
Yes,
lost me.
if you have council members who also are on the JEDCO board and they're meeting with businesses
Mhm.
and discussing tax incentives and other things of that nature, rather than the executive director doing that job, I could see how that would cause bleed through. But just to be on a board and vote on the projects that are there, because the reason that they have council members and mayors on this board is because they're accountable to our voters. None of the other members are. We cannot have an unelected board that's not accountable to anyone. And I think that even with a mayor and 2 council members, they have been all this time.
Mr. Mayor, if I may. A couple of issues. The council has oversight, board removal, addition. It's hard to have oversight over yourself. If you are on the JEDCO board and you're having to monitor the JEDCO board, that puts you in a very awkward, and I agree with Mr. Hildebrand on this situation. Also, we did pay good money for an opinion, a legal opinion on this, and the good money we spent said that council members should not be on the JEDCO board, am I correct?
You're incorrect. That's not what it says.
Dig it out, double check me.
It says at least 1 board member should be
That
on.
would be the mayor,
No, it could be anyone we chose.
if we set it up.
Or, I'm sorry, at least 1 council member should be on the JEDCO board. My
Yes.
apologies. That's what the opinion states.
I don't have anything.
So,
He's the attorney. He got the opinion.
may I have the floor, Mr. Mayor? So, with all of this week, with all of this extra talk, my question was simply, does everyone at this table find it of value or benefit? It's that simple. Don't trust me, nobody would be more proud and more happy to do whatever he or she could do than I would to help this whole entire community. I've done it since I was 23 years old, and I'm not stopping now. I just happen to see some moments, some spaces in time where it's not real healthy for a man or a woman to be sitting and voting. But I can handle that. I can handle it. So I just asked. I just wanted your opinion. Yes or no? Is it beneficial? Is it of value? Is it of benefit?
Mr. Moran, does it say a council person could be on it or should?
Should.
Yes.
Okay.
Should.
Yes.
If a council member gets on there and they want to remove themselves, can they do that?
Yes.
Okay,
We got other business.
Yeah.
Have a motion.
I make a motion.
Okay. If we choose, if we choose to keep a couple of senior members on the board, how many do y'all suggest we do? We already established it's 2 years, so how many do y'all suggest we do? We know we got y'all three. So on top of y'all three, how many more?
No appointment.
None.
You say none.
I say 5.
You say 5, that'll be 8. What do you say?
So you got the majority.
9. Hey, you asked the question.
Besides those three,
Besides those three.
I decide.
You say stay three.
I'll say three.
Okay, I'm sorry, what 3 are we referring to? The 3 that,
Legally appointed.
The ones that were appointed in May of 2024 legitimately, that would be Jennifer Miranda, LaQuinn Hildebrand, and Ronnie Sample.
them plus,
No, they're just those. We said 3.
How many more?
His question was how many in addition to those 3? And I said 5.
And then she
Okay.
said 9. And
unfortunately, y'all are not getting to look at the same sheet that we are. But the senior people who stay, currently it's recommended at 9. Then we add those 3 back into it, so that gives us 12, which leaves us with 5 empty positions to deal with.
Who is we? Who is the discussion with?
I'm sorry, Councilwoman Horn, how many did you say in addition to those 3?
Maybe 3 or 4.
So you say 3 or 4, and he said 9.
So on top of those three, you say 3 more. So that's
I said 4, at least 4. That's already on there.
Right to the board that we're voting, we say Quinn, Mr. Randall, and Ray Sample. On top of those 3, how many of the seniors do y'all want to keep on top of those 3?
5.
Quinn says 5, she says 0.
5, you gotta get something to show that, no see.
You said 9. What's the number 5?
Well, I'm at 9, 5.
They both at 8. You said 9. They at 8. You say 5, you say 5. I say 0. I say 0.
Additionally, I think it's important to note that you don't have to appoint the total number of 17.
That's right.
Like, it's within the discretion of the board to appoint less, so we don't have to come up with 17 appointments here today.
That's right.
Well, if we're doing it, why don't we go ahead and get it behind us?
I'm just saying that we don't have to, it's within the executive decision of the board here, or the city council, to appoint the number of people on the board. Y'all don't have to have 17 board members. Y'all don't have to come up with 17 appointments or 17 board members today. Y'all can come up with less than that. State law requires at least 5. So y'all don't have to come up with 17 people to be on
Let's say we
JEDCO.
nominate 14. How do we get?
Anything over 5.
Okay.
It could be more.
Let's say, for argument's sake, we do 13 board members. We agree on 13 tonight. Well, yes.
That's within the discretion of the city council.
I see that. But how do we get up to the total of 17?
We don't have to.
You don't have to.
We don't have to have 17 board members on JEDCO, is what I'm saying.
It's not, I mean, since they say 17, it can be less than that?
It's within the discretion of the city council to appoint for the number of people on the JEDCO board. So it doesn't have to be 17 people. That's within y'all's,
I thought we were shooting for 17.
don't have to. Which is 17's, if you read the opinion, 17 is a larger number than what is common in most municipalities. So it might be hard to
Well, it's
get
gotta be an
17.
even number, if I understand you right.
17's,
I mean, a not, yeah.
Well, my question was actually for the city secretary. If I could ask you a question. Mr. Mayhart mentioned that you guys out there don't have the the list that he has and what we're looking at today. Our city council binders, are these public record?
Only give that to the council members.
No, I'm asking, are our city council binders public record? So that citizens would be able to do a public records request, so then that way they would know exactly what we were deciding on today. Okay, that was my question.
May I?
Yes.
Mr. Moran, let's using the mayor's number of 13. If we can get 13 tonight, that doesn't preclude us from coming back next month and adding 4 additional.
Hypothetically, no.
Okay. Just asking.
Hypothetically, no.
Okay.
It would have to be the council that, approved those additional members.
And if we did, it's valid. Right?
I believe so.
Okay.
Yes, sir, I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? We're gonna take a short break before we go into the, general session.
They're gonna appoint, not one, they're not. They're gonna appoint. That's the law. Right. So only.
I try to stay on. Everybody knows
Even though the bylaw says 17.